Hello everyone, I'm Vivek Atray and welcome to episode 4 of the Good Vibes Show. It's a very interesting conversation that we normally have, and cheerful, vibrant, positive people are normally welcomed on this show. Today we have Mr. M.L. Sarin, Senior Advocate, and Mrs. Niti Sarin, who's the Secretary of the Blood Bank Society in Chandigarh. They are doyens of Chandigarh in a way. Their families, their image, their reputation has been impeccable, and the kind of work that both of them have done for the city and the region and the people here is really something worth talking about. So we'll have fun as well as talk about the work they've done. But I have a very direct question to start with. How did you first meet each other and how did you end up getting married?
You see, Niti's elder brother, Sanjeev or Tony, was 1 year senior to me in St. John's School. We were both pioneers of the school. And I used to go to his house, and he had 2 sisters, Niti and her elder sister. That's where I met her. I really got to like her, but we were so young that we didn't know how to express our love for each other at that stage. And at one stage, we had a childhood friend of Niti's, Miss Victoria Charlton at that time, an English girl, who was visiting us. She was staying with Niti's family, and she came up to me and says, "You know, Mac, Niti likes you." And I said, "Oh my gosh, I like her too." So we ended up exchanging letters on the 23rd of March, 1967.
That's a good one.
That is. So that's my side of the story. I don't know if Niti has anything to add.
Oh, well, every evening we would all get together in our house, my brother's friends and my sister's friends. So we would hang around there, and slowly couples started getting formed, crushes on each other and things. So that's how it all began. And of course, we were too shy to talk about it. At that time, you weren't so openly romantic and things. Now, with Chup Chup Ke, we were...
That was the era. It was a very calm
it was the 60s.
Graceful era.
Absolutely.
Little conversations, one word, and then you would think about it for ages, I guess. And General Malik, who was on the show, the former army chief, he actually used the word correspondence for the letters between them. So I said, "Sir, that is too officious. They were love letters after all."
Yes, I have preserved all the letters Niti's written to me. Which, she was just about 16 years old. I was a little older than that. And she used to write letters to me, and I write to her. And I've got all of them that she's written to me till today, including the first one, which is the prize one.
Oh, but I have to tell an interesting episode about letters. Mac would write a letter to me and come and hide it in one of the books, in our house. And then he'd come home and ring me up and say, "Go and look on book number 4, there's a letter for you." So one day he called up and I went and I looked in book number 4, there was nothing there, 5, 6, looked through all the books. And it turned out that my father was going to Delhi, and he happened to go and pick up that very book. It was called A Streetcar Named Desire.
Yeah, famous.
And he took it to Delhi, and there was his youngest daughter's love letter in there.
And the repercussions of that.
But then my parents were amazingly broad-minded, and I was feeling more stupid, being the youngest one. But they didn't say anything about it. They knew, they could see that there was something brewing here.
They were very, very understanding, incredibly broad-minded. Yes. And that is the reason why we could stay together, and, there were no restrictions imposed on us. So,
since we're talking about parents, your father, such a respected luminary in the legal world, let's talk about the senior Mr. Sarin for a minute, and your family, and how he moved to Chandigarh, and what happened next.
You see, my father joined the legal profession in 1932 in Lahore. And just when it was at the takeoff stage, partition took place, he was such a firm believer that he will not leave Lahore. But then he had to do it at the drop of a hat when one of his closest friends, Justice Munir, who was a judge of the Lahore High Court at that time, later became Chief Justice of the Supreme Court of Pakistan, said, "Harbanslal, you better go. Things are getting so bad." So they packed their bags and came. They were in a refugee camp, and then to Simla, where the interim High Court was shifted. Till the building in Chandigarh was built on the 1st of January 55, we moved to Chandigarh. And we've been here since then. I am literally a pioneer of the city. So.
Absolutely, and this is one of the earliest houses where we are at the moment.
Yes.
What memories of childhood?
They're unbelievable memories. Ours was the second private house built in Sector 4. From our house, we could see the railway station, and from the railway station, we could see our house and know whether Papa's awake or not, because the Kalka mail used to arrive at 4:20 in the morning, as it does today. And we could see our bedroom windows. These windows behind you, we could see them from the railway station.
Wow, that's super. Yes. Your family too, ma'am. I mean, so much grace, so much work for the society. Mr. Swaroop Kishan, former Chief Secretary, ICS.
The first Chief Secretary of Haryana.
The first Chief Secretary of Haryana.
Yes.
And Mrs. Swaroop Kishan going strong with the Blood Bank Society and so much work. Tell us about your parents a little more.
Well, as I said earlier, they were really broad-minded and very ahead of their times, I would say. And as far as we were concerned, they were really liberal. We were free to express ourselves the way we wanted to and things like that. And having watched them right from our youngest age, the way they were, it had a huge influence on us. My parents were never overtly religious. We never went to any mandirs or churches or anything like that. I think the greatest religious influence was Carmel Convent as far as I was concerned. But just seeing them, they were basically very good people at heart, and they believed in not harming anyone and helping the society. So that's how they were, and that's what we watched as we grew up. And right from the beginning, we were involved with the blood bank in little ways. Pehle to we were in school, so they'd have some exhibition or something, and we would be asked to come, and Mummy would ask us to make posters and help with things like that. So we were involved with what my parents were doing right from the beginning.
I'll come back to the blood bank also. You started your legal journey, your law practice, and went up as high as the Advocate General of Haryana as well as Punjab. So talk us, although it's a long journey, but as succinctly as possible about it.
Very briefly, while Niti went to Carmel Convent, I was the roll number 10 in St. John's on the first day it opened in 1960. And when I graduated in 64, I didn't want to do law. I used to see my father working from morning to night and I said, no. It's by default I became a lawyer. But I am one of the happiest lawyers, not just in India, not just in North India, but in the entire country. Because I was the first lawyer from St. John's School. I was the first Advocate General from our school. I was made Additional Advocate General by Mr. S.S. Ray. I was made Advocate General of Punjab when Governor Surendranath was there. Second time, Mr. H.S. Barar as Chief Minister invited me to become the Advocate General. All three times, the Governor or the Chief Minister would start by saying, Mr. Sarin, please don't say no. I'm going to make an offer. I never had to run after them or hanker after it, which is something I consider the biggest feather in my cap. And a few years later, in 1999, Mr. Om Prakash Chautala invited me to become the Advocate General of Haryana. I accepted. I had a very wonderful time, huge success rate, won the most important case in the Supreme Court for him to be re-elected. But unfortunately, I didn't envisage that his term was so short. I shouldn't have said yes. And then I resigned after a few months.
You were not a political analyst after all. You were a professional lawyer. And I would say that because of your professionalism, you were universally acceptable to all governments and all establishments. Otherwise, it's very rare to be invited so many times by different people.
I think you're right. And secondly, I was totally apolitical. I've never aligned myself with one party or the other because I feel politics has to be as pure as can be. And my hero was one Mr. Ghosh, who was the Advocate General of Gujarat for 35 years. Because every time the government would change, he would go and tender his resignation and the government didn't let him go. Today, of course, things are different, yes.
Yeah, but then times have changed, public life has changed.
Yes.
I remember, actually, I've told you this, seeing you as a young officer myself in the High Court, and you were arguing a case, and I was very impressed. And I was like, who's this? I didn't know you then. I came to know that you're the founder president of Sajoba. And since I'm from St. John's, I too joined Sajoba after that. And then we met so often, and now we are friends. You're a senior friend. Ma'am is a not so senior friend, if I can say so. But it has been quite an experience watching you grow as well. So what has life been like in the last, let's say, 20 years or so?
Well, Vivek, it's been nice knowing you and you becoming president of Sajoba. Sajoba has been one of the babies, if I may call it, that I have created alone without Niti's help. And you know, I had come back from Chicago in 1979 after getting my LLM degree, and I saw the Alumni Association there so active. So I started, this was my third attempt in 1980. I had tried twice before, failed. But that Sajoba we started on 19th of July 1980 is a global organization spread over every corner of the world. And it is so satisfying. This is one. Second thing, about 20 years ago, I decided I was involved in too many organizations. I should restrict it to one or two so that I can do my very best. Because I believe in the saying that if it's worth doing well. So Sajoba was one. I was naturally involved with the Blood Bank Society. I started donating blood to win my way into my mother-in-law's heart. And, you know, went on to become a centenarian blood donor. So I have 115 blood donations to my name. Super. She has 69. We just missed a double century. But that is the second very satisfying part. The third is, which perhaps you know, I got involved with the Alliance Française because I'd been to Bordeaux in 1984 to attend a conference, and they spoke more French than English. So I started learning French, and I got elected as president in 1990. And I've held that position now for 32 years.
The Alliance Française Chandigarh, where I've been a student as well, it's a great institution and has contributed to the culture of the city. That's another feather in your cap. But coming to ma'am in the interim, because this is a partnership. So all this while, when he's been into so many things, and you've been like his companion, but then there must have been time when he's been super busy, and you wanted more attention, more family time. Or have there been times when you've been more busy than him with the Blood Bank Society? How's it been going?
No, I think it's always he's who's been more busy, and it was with his profession to start with. And as my father-in-law told me when we got engaged, he said, "Beta, remember this profession is like a
jealous mistress."
A jealous mistress." So he had warned me. Though of course it's not the same. It was more his profession which I used to, sometimes get annoyed because he was always working, and then he was teaching in the university in the evenings and things. But then you get used to it and you actually start enjoying the fact that you have all that time for yourself to do what you want. And I've been involved with a lot of things that he does, whether it's Sajoba, going for the meetings and parties and things like that. Alliance, with all these organizations, I've been pretty much behind him. He's been in the front and I've been with him.
She has
shoulder to shoulder.
Yes. But a very important thing, she's being very modest and not mentioning it. She has been an incredible mother. She devoted herself to our children, and what a wonderful job she's done. That I do try and take the credits off and on, but it's really due to her. They're all three beautiful, indulging, involved parents. They are hands-on parents, both my sons and our daughter, Malini. And we love seeing them bringing up our grandchildren. Of course, we love the grandchildren also so much. And they have been the delights of our lives ever since they appeared.
So in recent years, I believe you've been, without the pandemic coming into the frame, been traveling a lot. Yes. And these travels have obviously taken you to your grandchildren abroad as well as to other places. So some memories from your travels and travel together. I believe you've been always never alone. It's always the two of you traveling.
Yes, most of the time it's both. The two of us have been traveling, especially after the children grew up. Because when they were smaller, I wasn't happy about leaving them. I never had an ayah for them because I was a very possessive mother and I wanted to bring them up myself. So after they grew up, then I started traveling with Mac, and it's been, oh my God, so much fun. I mean, basically, I'm an introvert. I used to be an introvert, and with Mac, he made me try things which I would never have done on my own, and we've had fabulous times on all our trips.
So were there times when the very prim and proper Mr. Mac Sarin became a little like crazy in our outline?
Oh my God!
Or something like that, if I can ask.
He's prim and proper only when he's working, when he's a lawyer. You have to see him when we're out. He knows how to enjoy life.
Let me tell you my side of the story. After the children grew up, we would go to all our conferences, our meetings, international meetings, etc., together. In 1994, when the meeting was in Washington, D.C., she didn't want to go. So I used her money to fly Concorde from London to New York. I mean, that's a historic journey now. When I reached there, all my global lawyer friends turned around and says, "Where's Niti?" I said, "She decided not to come." "Mac, then we don't recognize you. You are non-existent without her." And that is the reaction we get most of the time.
So sweet.
But one other very interesting international travel. I was a member of the Rotary Group Study Exchange team to go to South Australia. And that's the home of Don Bradman. Right. And Sir Don Bradman was also a Rotarian. And when we were there in 1977, we wanted to meet him. We discovered he was in hospital. Can you believe it? He took special permission from his doctor to come and meet us, because we were 5 young men with one leader, all of us cricket fans. And when he came, he asked us, "Why did you want to meet us?" I said, "But you are the Sir Don Bradman, and we all love you. We want to," and I've got photographs with my arms around him, etc. But he turned around. He was such a humble human being. He says, "No, Mr. Sarin, you have a bigger Don Bradman in your country. That is Sunil Gavaskar." When he had not even made a mark on the global scene.
So
that is
humble.
very, very humble person.
You met so many dignitaries. Bradman, of course, is the greatest I know of. But French presidents, perhaps, and others. So, traveling abroad, that perspective that you got, that horizon. So, being from Chandigarh, how have you grown personally with all these interactions?
You see, I love Chandigarh so much because I've lived most of my life in this city. I was 6 years old. It's given me so much. I would not leave it for the world. That's what the expression I used when I actually said no to judgeship. They were sending me to Karnataka. This open hand is a symbol. I have pinned it on all the important people I've come across, including President Hollande, who is the first foreign dignitary to fly from Paris and land in Chandigarh. Right. That was in 2016. So when a city has given you so much, you have to preserve and protect it. Otherwise, leave it to the common developer for monetary gains. This city will go to the dogs. In my opinion, it's already come down many notches from what it was. But these travels have expanded my horizon, made me a global citizen. I'm no longer constrained by those parochial, local disputes and differences. Because I think when you are traveled so much and you've become got a global vision, then you see your problems differently.
Absolutely.
And, travels have also been very unique in some ways. One of them was with our Scandinavian friends. They've formed a Scandinavian lawyers group. But they are such good friends of ours, they invited Niti and I and our younger son to join them as the special invitees. We went to Svalbard, the northernmost habitation on Earth, just less than 900 miles from the North Pole, for 4 days. Absolutely incredible.
Amazing.
With dog sledges and snow scooters and it is unbelievable actually seeing polar bear in the wild. That was really amazing. A trip of a lifetime.
These travels must be your main aim in a way at this stage, where you look forward to the next one. And then,
yes.
What has been the last 2 years a little tough, and now you're eager to go again?
My last 2 years have been very tough. In fact, much tougher for me than for Niti, because she is a very domestic person. She doesn't mind staying at home or going out. But I get the itch 4 to 6 weeks after I've come back, and I want to travel. So 2020 was totally travel free. But in 21, we had a tragedy, which, well, I won't talk about that. But we flew to the US. And that was on a charter plane. Our daughter-in-law's brother chartered it from the US. So it was nice to spend 2 months with our grandchildren and the children in California. I did make another trip in December, just before the third wave has started. So I have got a bit of my desire satiated, but not totally.
Not totally. But you're also involved with international moot courts, and your foundation has been the force behind some of these activities, and interacting with young advocates and lawyers and upcoming professionals across the world. How's been the experience in that?
That has been a wonderful experience, Vivek. You know, we formed the Sarin Memorial Legal Aid Foundation in 1995 in memory of my late father and my younger brother, whom we lost at the age of 37. And that foundation entered into an agreement with Leiden University, my younger son's, Nitin's alma mater. Yeah. And we started the first air law moot court competition in the world. And the first one was in Delhi, and then it's gone all over the world to Dubai, to Malta, to Istanbul, Beijing, Jakarta, name it. The last 2 years, it was in Shanghai in April 2020. We postponed it, shifted it to St. Petersburg. That had to be cancelled on a physical one. It was online. This year, again, it's planned for St. Petersburg. But I'm afraid the situation may not permit us to have it because it's due in April. So, but it is a time for us to give back. The profession, like the city, has given me so much. This is my way of paying back or paying forward to the youngsters. And their global friends we made out of them, you know, whether in China, Australia, in Russia, Poland, and the US, they're so grateful. The emails I get, the letters I get, the Facebook friends are made because of that. They're
One
really...
of them is Daniel Ryu, who used to be the director of Allianz when I was a student. And recently, after 20 years, I commented, and I know that you also keep in touch with them.
Yes.
Great friends we've made over the years through these.
Absolutely. Daniel is in Vietnam at the moment. He's a Frenchman, married to a Thai, Mayuri, and he lives in Vietnam. Isn't it a global world?
Absolutely.
We brought our children up as global citizens. Yeah. I took them all over the world, made them travel, and I said, let them decide where they want to live and settle. And that's how my elder son is an American with his American grandchildren.
That's why it's so unique, your family and your contribution, because you're also grounded. And then you have that international exposure, and then you brought that internationalism to Chandigarh. And I like the way you said, instead of paying back, you're paying forward.
Yes.
That is something very unique. Ma'am, the Blood Bank Society, tell us a little more. This very noble act of donating blood, where you have almost covered a double century between you. I'm much far behind, though I'm reaching about 10, I guess. But tell us more about your work there.
See, Vivek, earlier I was teaching. I was teaching in a nursery school, and I loved it. And my mother would tell me, why don't you come and join us in the blood bank? You know, you don't need the money.
Let me interject for a second.
Okay.
Actually, the Blood Bank Society was started in 1964 by Niti's mother.
Yes.
So now you go ahead.
So she was very keen for me to come and join them over there. But my heart wasn't in it because, you know, I would hear these stories about people who didn't get blood because there was none in the blood bank, and it was all very negative. And I used to ask her, how can you work for something which is, you know, when you always are hearing about sorrow and sadness all the time. Right. Anyway, after our third child was born, Nitin was born, I said I have enough students at home, I don't need to be teaching in a school. So then I decided to join the blood bank because Mummy said, take on the school project. Let's start at, you know, educating these youngsters about blood donation. That's how she lured me into the blood bank. And I've loved it ever since. You know, it's been such a wonderful way to keep busy instead of kitty parties and silly things like that, which I don't enjoy at all. I don't belong to any of those. So it's a beautiful way to keep out of trouble, to keep yourself happily occupied. And basically we are the motivators. We try to get youngsters to know about blood donation and tell them about the importance of it and have them come. We used to give talks in colleges and schools and try and organize blood donation camps. We do functions for blood donors to keep them. You have to keep them coming back. They have to feel motivated.
Absolutely.
So that sort of
And one
thing.
of the programs that the Blood Bank Society devised locally was that organizing blood donation camps in schools.
Yeah.
So that the parents come and donate blood, and the children are given a sticker saying, my mom is a blood donor, my mom is a hero, my dad is a hero. So this program has been recognized globally as one of the most effective motivational programs, because it not only motivates the parents to donate because their 4 or 5 year old son or daughter is asking them, but it prepares the son or daughter to, by the time they're 18, they're ready to donate blood.
I too have a couple of these stickers.
Stickers? Lovely.
So your blood donation or something we've done. But these kinds of things, looking forward to the younger generation now, Sujoba,
Yes.
Sessa, you're the president of your own school association. You've been
At one
the
time.
founder, yes, Kamal. What do you think of the newest generation? They have the energy, they have that resolve. These are different times, a lot of technology, a lot of social media. Going forward, what is your take on India and the society as it evolves?
Well, it's very, very subjective, actually. But I feel the future, we are used to devoting time and effort to voluntary organizations, whether it's the Blood Bank, Sajoba, or the Alliance. But we find the younger people are not willing to come in and give that much time to go and motivate, speak to people. But if you can involve them through some social media or give them some idea to develop a program on social media, they can do wonders. And they can really come out with such fabulous ideas. So I'm happier than I'm dejected with their approach, and I still see a very, very bright future ahead of us. Of course, NGOs everywhere are finding more difficult to find younger people to become members and join them.
It is true in a way, but I also find my own daughters, they are more, they're thinking of society, they're into the social sector, they do have empathy. So those kids who are a little more comfortable in life, they are thinking of society in a way. And you rightly said social media is the way to catch it.
Yes.
Many of them spend many hours on Instagram, for example. So if blood donation causes are popping up on Instagram, they will be attracted. So we need to get them involved in order to do that.
Correct.
Yes, that's very true.
But to close this journey and this, I'm sure you've been on a few cruises, this cruise of life which is on, and the blessings from the Almighty and whatever gratefulness you have for where you are. What are you looking forward to, and what is your legacy, you feel, that you'd like to leave?
Well, I completed 50 years as a lawyer on the 1st of July last year.
Yes.
I had visions of having a big celebration. It is a momentous event, date. But we were alone in California. So when I enjoyed it, and I thought I will share it with the people, not on the 50th anniversary, but the 51st. So the second thing which has just happened is that we completed 50 years of the Blood Bank Society, and we produced a book chronicling the fabulous work they've done over the last 50 years. Both of us feel that there is a very, very bright future ahead of us. The youngsters today have access to and have opportunities which were never available to us. We had to fight much harder. Secondly, you can achieve success in a much shorter period of time than was possible in our era. You had to wait the normal 20 years before you're recognized as a lawyer and things. But with the changes in times, things are speeding up. The world is becoming a smaller place to live in, and you can achieve whatever you feel like in the shortest period of time. What do you think about this?
No, I don't know. What I would love to say is his motto in life, shall we say, is when was the last time you did something for the first time?
Uh-huh.
So, he's always looking for experiences that he's not had before. And tell me about the Flying Maharajas.
You see, intercontinental grouping of accountants and lawyers that I belong to. We were in Munich 4 years ago, and we were at the Olympic Stadium. Looked beautiful, but an empty stadium is a stadium. And as we were walking out, we found some people were ziplining from the top of the stadium to the other end. So 8 of us, from all different parts of the world, from Norway, from France, from Austria, and Mauritius.
Belgium.
So all of us says, "You want to do it?" Of course, Niti backed out. A lot of people, the partners backed out, but we went up and ziplined. And all of us were so excited. I was the second oldest. There was one person, the Spanish gentleman. Pedro was older than me. He came back and said, "Wow, our motto is, when was the last time you did something for the first time?" And we call ourselves the Flying Maharajas. And we have a very nice WhatsApp group. I just got pictures from my friends in Austria. They were skiing, and it's such beautiful white snow in Austria. And I was telling my grandchildren this morning at the family VC that the 2 things I regret not having done is skiing and skydiving.
Oh.
There's still a chance for me to do
You must
it.
do them. You must do them. In fact, a lot of Sujoba members, Blood Bank Society members, others are going to be watching this show.
Yeah.
And many of them very young at the moment. So any message for them before we part?
Well, the first and the most important message is think positive, be positive, because positivity is what brings you happiness in life. I really can't shorten it. That is the crux of the whole happiness in my life.
And you, ma'am?
It sounds very hackneyed, but I'd say please think about being blood donors if you can, because we really need to increase the number of blood donors in the country.
It's been a pleasure to talk to you. And I think the vibrant atmosphere that we've created in this episode, the kind of vibes, the good vibes that we've been emanating, will go a long way in making people feel more cheerful. Thank you so much for whatever you've done for the society, both of you, and continue to do. And it's a pleasure to have you.
We've loved it.
Yes, thank you, Vivek.
We have a book from the Blood Bank, and this is 50 years of the Blood Bank Society, so we'll just pause with this.